Hey, what's up, everybody? Another great episode of Fourth Person Point of View, baby. Today, I wanted to talk about something. As a veteran, I wanted to talk about it. So, if you've been following the news, February the 17th, the Trump administration made updates to the US Taiwan fact sheet, which if you go in the State Department, you can find this. So, basically, I'm going to read it to you here. So, you go on the website, basically, the U.S. State Department removed the phrase, "We do not support Taiwan independence." We do not support Taiwan independence from the fact sheet. So that caused an uproar in China. They were pissed. Now, you might say, why would that piss China off? Let me give you a backstory, the best I can. You can always go on Google, but I'll give you a backstory. So if you remember back in the 30s, 40s, and almost to the 50s, but late 40s, there was a civil war in China between the Communists and the Nationalist Party. So basically what happened, they had a civil war and it ended in 49, and the Nationalist Party ended up going to Taiwan, and the Communist Party stayed in what is basically mainland China. So the United States of America, we were bagging the Nationalist Party. And so there was a treaty in 1950 with the Nationalist Party. Then fast forward up, so the Chinese, the communists had a relationship with the Soviet Union, right? And so that broke off, and the United States decided, like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity for us to go in here and build a relationship with China. So they did, and they kind of, they had a discussion, and they wanted to appease both sides for U.S. interests, right? So what happens? China said basically what they wanted, and Taiwan said what they wanted. But the problem was, they could not agree on whose government was going to be the official government. So the communists had their government and the nationalists had theirs. And so that put America back in a position where they're like, damn. So what happened was the United States kind of abrogated the treaty from 1950, and they came up with something called the One China policy. Now, in that One China policy, both sides were basically acknowledging that, hey, they are one big family. They just kind of didn't see eye to eye. They were bumping heads. But when they went to the negotiating table and made amends, China did not say that it would never attack Taiwan. So in order to appease the Taiwanese side, which was the nationalists, what happened? The United States ended up creating a new treaty with Taiwan called the Taiwan Relations Act of 1979. Which, if you want to read that, you can pull it up. It's online as well. Pardon me here. I'm going to read something to you here. So one of the problems to the Taiwan Relations Act was 1979, which, like I said, that was more for the Taiwanese people, kind of to give them a little bit more assurance that, hey, if China attacks us, what will we do? Will you be there for us? And you got to keep in mind too that the Taiwanese people produce a lot of semiconductors, which Donald Trump has been lately saying, hey, you stole that industry from the United States. So he's kind of like he's hinting that he wants it back. My question is, if they take that semiconductor industry from Taiwan and bring it back to the United States, would we have a reason to really even deal with Taiwan? Probably yes and no, because what I'm about to read you is going to answer the question. So there's something called a first island chain that a lot of people are not aware of. So I'm going to read you this here. This is offline. So it says, what is the first island chain strategy and why is it collapsing? So the first island chain strategy is a Cold War relic. designed by the US to contain China and the Soviet Union by forming a maritime barrier of strategic islands. This chain stretches from Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines to the South China Sea, placing US military bases and allies along vital choke points. The goal to prevent China from projecting power beyond its immediate coastline and to block its access to the Pacific and Indian Oceans, keeping it trapped in regional waters. For decades, this strategy was a pillar of U.S. dominance in Asia, maintaining control over the trade routes and military mobility. But the times have changed and China has flipped the script. And that's online. Just type in First Island Chain Strategy, which is neat. Now, let's go to something else. So there's a scholar named Joanna Lee, and she was a former senator in the ROC, right? She had an interview with Dr. Jeffrey Sachs and another gentleman, and she said China specifically laid out reasons that they would be willing to go to war. One was if there was no hope for eventual unification. Second, if there was ever like too much international involvement. And three, a push for Taiwan independence. This is what she said. Now, I didn't go and do a deep dive. I kind of trusted the source because this is kind of her area of expertise. And Dr. Jeffrey Sachs is one of the most, oh man, he's a professor and an economist, and he travels around the world. So if you know anything about him, his reputation speaks for itself. And he concurred with what she was saying, right? So if that's one of the reasons that China said they are willing to go to war, and the damn fact sheet was just updated, and I told you the U.S. State Department removed the phrase, "We do not support Taiwan independence." That was coming from the Biden administration. This new administration removed it. So if they removed it, it's kind of like up in the air. And the Chinese government is kind of asking the United States, like, what the fuck you mean? What are you saying here? They're basically saying that you're poking the bull. You're making fun of us. So the whole point of this podcast right here, I am not an expert on China. Let me grab a book and show you here. So, when I was in graduate school, one of the advisors was he was from Taiwan. Yeah, I'm not gonna say his name, but he was from Taiwan, and he used to have this Zoom call with people from China and Princeton, Harvard, a few professors from all over and a few students. So I used to jump on there a few times. I really liked it. Sometimes, like, I would be the only person on the call who did not speak their language, which I thought was kind of funny. But he recommended this book right here, and that's Politics in China. So the book it's a great book. I have not read the whole book because I started reading this summer, and I was in graduate school this summer, so I did not get to finish the book. But the book is interesting because I kind of like studying the Chinese government because of the history of it. I mean, you just heard me say they had a civil war between two groups of people, and China has not been like a superpower long. So if you like studying civilizations and governments, you can kind of go look at China and be like, okay, this is what they did, and they're actually moving pretty fast, right? So that's kind of like why I'm intrigued by this. Now, back to what she was saying, the third reason was a push for Taiwan independence. And she also talked about what I just read you, which was the first island chain. If America sees Taiwan, they can control the 7 provinces in the southeast part of China, the entry in Okinawa Trout, the Taiwan Strait, and the Bashi Strait. So America needs Taiwan to like control the choke points. But what did China do? They went and did some of the most gangster shit that you can think of. Them fuckers built an island. I swear to God, go look it up. The Chinese are building islands like they studied. I mean, and it's probably, let's not give them too much damn credit, because I guess it's not rocket science if you got the proper technology and the sciences, because islands are in the ocean anyway, and they are floating. So I guess the Chinese got their scientists and, you know, really just went and looked at it and saw what makes this piece of land float. And they built multiple islands to kind of disrupt what the United States is doing, which is cool. And maybe, well, of course, back in the day when all these treaties were signed and these agreements were made, they probably didn't have the technology, because if I'm not wrong, China didn't start really moving until 1980. Like, that's when I think they finally started taking the proper steps to get where they are today. And of course, stealing every goddamn thing the United States got for its intellectual property. Yeah, the Chinese motherfuckers steal shit. I ordered a shirt one time and it came from China. I was like, God damn it. But that's another story. But the Chinese are really like making fucking islands. So they kind of disrupted all that that Taiwan stands for. What the United States is using Taiwan for, China has went in and goddamn made islands around that shit. So it's kind of like, I guess it's still an asset to the United States, but it's not the asset we thought, because they went around and built shit there now to kind of offset what we were doing. But the main reason for me making this podcast right here, and this is what I want to, this is what I'm thinking. Will China invade Taiwan during the Trump administration? And I'm going to tell you, I didn't say yes or no, but I'm thinking if they got real generals and they strategic and they're paying attention to all the shit that's going on in the United States, this would be the perfect time for China to invade Taiwan. Why? Because the United States government, man, what's this, the 22nd or something? It's the 23rd. Trump hadn't been in the White House a good goddamn month and a half yet. All these damn changes they're making in the Department of Defense and the federal government is kind of like just bam. That's why I made the podcast and say, are we witnessing a Trump revolution? Your federal government is off the fucking hinges. It's like, it's disrupted. Your government, the civilization is basically disrupted. Then you just fired relieved. You just relieved your goddamn chairman of the Joint Chiefs. You got to get the other one, General, what's his name? They call him Raisin Kane. General John D. Kane. General John D. Kane, who is a 3-star general. You lead the damn joints. You lead people on the chair. You lead people on the Joint Chiefs, and the chairman are 4-star generals. He's a damn 3. He was retired. So trust me, when he retired, he probably grew a beard, got a beer belly, and he was chilling like, hey, screw that shit. I'm finna relax for a little while. So you got to get him back into the military mindset. He got to start reading up on shit. I mean, you see where I'm going with this? He got to get back into the rhythm of the military. And he's at the goddamn top. He's at the damn Joint Chiefs level. He's got to be on point. Although he does have other generals who most of them are going to be, all of them are going to be 4-star generals, I think. And even the vices are like 4-star generals. But just the fact he's a 3 who was retired is coming back in. So we better say a prayer, because if China is strategic and they if they were ever going to attack the United States, this would be the perfect time. It makes perfect military sense to attack Taiwan right now. Attack them right now, and it would throw everything off balance, because you still got goddamn Russia and Ukraine. You still have Israel and the Palestinians with they shit going on. The United States is goddamn in a cluster. Federal workers are complaining. People in the military are confused, like what in the hell is going on? It's too much going on. So, will China go ahead and invade Taiwan right now? I hope they don't. But if they were ever going to attack Taiwan, if their generals are really, really smart people and they are strategic, this would be the perfect time. And don't say it won't happen. Goddamn, Ukraine said they was going to join the United States and be a permanent ally. And what the fuck did Putin do? Shit, he invaded them motherfuckers, man. So don't act like it can't happen, because it's happening right now. Russia invaded Ukraine for the same goddamn thing. That's what makes it make so much sense to me. Russia invaded Ukraine for trying to join NATO. Taiwan is not trying to just join NATO, but Trump just made a change to the damn fact sheet, which is what China said they would go to war for. And basically, even though the terminology is different and it says China said they don't want nobody to push for Taiwan independence. So if the possibility of Taiwan being independent, China's probably thinking, well, if we don't respond now, we'll fuck up and they'll be independent. And then what happens next? The United States gives them an invitation to come into NATO with Poland and everybody else. You see where I'm going with this? So from a military perspective, right now, China is supposed to attack Taiwan. Think about it. With all this going on, the damn website, the fact sheet was just changed on February the 17th. Joanna Lee, who's a former senator in the ROC, the POC, she said that was the third reason China said they would wage war. Push for Taiwan independence. And China is not the China from the past. They have a pretty damn good military. They are the underdogs. They are the underdogs with everything to prove. And I do not see that. I do not see China letting the United States just bully them. Because if we keep doing them the way we're doing them, it's no purpose of them saying they're a superpower. And if you remember, just a few years ago, Nancy Pelosi's ass went to Taiwan after China warned her don't go. So I do not see them just sitting back letting us keep making all these changes. We tried it with Putin. Some of the advisors said, what will happen if Ukraine joins NATO? And some of the damn advisors said, nothing. They said, you sure? They said Russia will not do anything. And like hell, Putin invaded Russia. Putin invaded Ukraine. And the damn exact same scenario. That's the part I don't get. The exact same scenario with a few different words is happening with China and Taiwan. So why in the hell wouldn't they invade them? Make it make sense. But that's just my fourth person perspective. Tell me what y'all think about it. And say a prayer. This has been another great episode of Fourth Person Point of View, baby. I'm out.